Alrighty, hello and welcome back to another episode of Momentum. I'm your host, Big Lez. Now, we didn't get to record the round 15 review as we were obviously doing the Origin chat, and Jakey had to go, was pretty busy, had to get to dinner. So we couldn't get stuck into the round 15 review. So I'm going to do that now as a bit of a separate podcast. Wrote up the notes here for it as well. So we're going to get stuck straight into it. Obviously a bit of a shorter round this week with the Origin buys and whatnot. So we'll get stuck straight into the footy. We've got a bit more time to sort of break it down as well. So we're going to take that time to do so. Our round 16 tips will be on the Origin podcast. Obviously came out yesterday. So after this one, go and check that out as well. But let's get stuck into the footy. 48-6, the Bunnies defeat the Broncos. Really good game of footy. I thought that the Rabbitohs were outstanding. The Broncos obviously quite depleted and obviously lost their halves towards the back end of that game as well. But the Bunnies were without a ton of stars as well in this game. Obviously without the likes of Latrell, without the likes of Campbell Graham, Jack Whiten. Plenty of outs here for the Bunnies, albeit they got a couple of blokes back. But they were definitely depleted as well, and did a really good job here. 48-6, the final scoreline. Did it for Jai as well, which was good to see. Really a strong performance for Jai Arrow. 60% of the ball, 82% completions compared to 68% completions from the Brisbane Broncos and only 40% possession. The Bunnies were on top for a lot of this game. Now, the Broncos did have some good moments, particularly in the second half. They were really trying to climb back to that win, but the first half and the amount of ball that the Bunnies had and what they were able to do with it, I think pretty much decided the game at halftime. It was 30-0. Full-time, obviously, 48-6. So the game was decided at halftime for me. The Broncos seem to have not really left the sheds. And yeah, just a bit of inexperience hurt them. Really did hurt them. I think that Duffy, he's still warming into first grade. He's had some really good performances this year. But just a couple of things decision-making wise, he's just got to work on a little bit, which, you can expect for any young half. I think that the decision to start him over Ezra Mam is the incorrect decisions. I know that Duffy's going to be a halfback next year. You want to get him some reps on the board. I do think it's the wrong call, though. To be starting him in this side. You want to obviously have your strongest side on the park week to week, and Ezra Mam's a part of that strongest side. Every time that he has gotten onto the field the last 2 weeks that he's been on the bench, he has been outstanding, and maybe that's something that you're looking for Ezra Mam, to have that injection off the bench, but I just think he's too valuable not to have on the field, especially when he starts running the ball. He can be a real threat there, and I also don't think it's great on Tom Duffy either. Like, you're really hurting his confidence by, decking him or taking him out of the side as soon as he's not playing well. Or the side isn't moving forward. So I think you've just got to go with one or the other. If you do decide to drop Ezra Mam and make a statement in this side, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, put Ezra Mam back at 6, get him to have the same impact playing the full 80 minutes of the game, and then you can start playing some good footy and really just capitalise on the combinations as well. That's the other thing. Like, you bring a new half into the side, has been playing Queensland Cup, hasn't built the combinations with the first grade boys as well, especially in game land, and it translates. A couple of, as I said, just some passes, and just some movements as well that he's got to work on. A couple of errors there, Tom Duffy, over the last 2 weeks. And look, I'm not making him the scapegoat for the last 2 weeks of losses, that's for sure, but since they have sort of shuffled him with Ezra Mam, I feel like it is hurting Duffy's confidence a little bit. But I also think Duffy is still very raw in the NRL and has a lot of learnings to do as well in regards to playing the game. I thought that Karapani deserved a massive shout out in this game. If you're looking at a Broncos player to throw out a shout out to in this one, there's 2. Xavier Willison's been outstanding. We'll talk about him in a second, but Josiah Karapani was outstanding in this game. He was massive for them. He was a big part as to why this game didn't blow out to a much bigger scoreline. Rabbitohs could have genuinely won by 60-70 had Karapani not saved a couple of one-on-one tackles there on Tallis Duncan, dragging Tallis Duncan over the sideline along with Ezra Mam. And then he had a beautiful tackle as well on Ed Cozzy. And by the way, that they were going to that edge quite currently, using Ed Cozzy as a bit of a guy in the air for them as well, and trying to target him with kicks and just catch the bit more inexperienced guy in Karapani out. And Karapani held his own really well. And to be fair as well, even after making big tackles to end sets, when Rabbitohs did run the ball down that right-hand side, he put his hand up to take the first carry out of his own end as well. So it goes to show the growth of Josiah Karapani, the former Rabbitohs junior, doing good things for the Brisbane Broncos. A really strong game from him in a side that did get dominated for most of this game. Really enjoyed the performance as well from Xavier Willison. Played big minutes, and he normally does when their starting front rowers are out. He's going to be that next alpha dog, obviously, when Payne Haas does leave this side. Yes, they do obviously get in, Mitch Barnett next year. But I think he's going to be that young alpha that they really do call on and to play a couple of minutes. He's going to be the Payne Haas of that side when Payne Haas does walk out the door for me. Mitch Barnett, Xavier Willison, Paddy Carrigan. It's a pretty good starting middle there for the Broncos going into next season. And I think Willison's going to be very dangerous going into next year. But he has been really dangerous this year in a side that hasn't been performing. He's probably been their best player or one of their best players over the last couple of weeks when he's been in the side, whether it's on the edge for a stint or whether it's through the middle. Defensively, he's very sound, and he gets through an absolute mountain of work, and the aggression doesn't seem to dip for him either, Xavier Willison, when he is playing for the Brizzy Broncos. Talking about the Rabbitohs, Jai Gray was really good out the back. I thought he was very dangerous. There was a couple times roaming down the left-hand side where he'd make a break and they'd have a little bit of a joy down that left side attack of the Rabbitohs, right side D of the Broncos. Tallis Duncan was very good, albeit Karapani did a pretty solid job defending him at stages, especially when he was closer to the line. Still 200 metres from 20 runs. He was outstanding. 7 tackle bust, 18 tackles, 0 missed in the centres. Obviously, one away from his normal position there on the opposite side of the field to where he is normally playing at Clubland, or at least the last couple of weeks since Dave Fafita's moved to the right side. 20 runs for 200 metres and 18 tackles, 0 missed, 7 tackle busts. Really good performance from Tallis Duncan. Ashton Ward is definitely growing in confidence and getting better. 3 try assists, 2 line break assists, 89 run meters as well. 14 tackles, 400 kicking meters there. He was really good, Ashton Ward. As I said, just growing in confidence week to week. Really enjoying watching these young halfbacks across a couple of teams grow and, really, start to build a bit of confidence in their games in first grade. Ashton Ward's one of those guys where I'm really just enjoying him getting more and more confidence in first grade, testing himself a little bit more, taking opportunities and learning from the wrongs as well. Obviously, a couple of errors still in his game, and had that 40-20 that just went over the sideline there, but love the confidence to just go for that in that moment. And if that comes off, it's probably another try to the Bunnies. So Ashton Ward, really solid game here, I thought. Cody Walker really stood up for his mate, Jai Arrow, and had a strong game for him. If Cody Walker plays like this week to week, you add in Latrell, Jack White, and then Campbell Graham when he comes back a little bit later in the year, this side in finals is going to be very, very scary. This is a side I genuinely think full strength can win the comp. The big thing for them is just the injuries that they've had the last couple seasons. If they can get all of their guys back for finals, they're really going to be a threat, and it'd be awesome to send off Keon to the Dragons with a premiership ring on his finger as well. Speaking of Keon, 80 minutes in the front row, 22 runs, 214 run meters. He was outstanding, 27 tackles as well with only 1 miss. Totola was strong through the middle. So Jamie Humphries, when he came on, was really good. I thought Brandon Smith looked good as well. So some really good performances there for the South Sydney Rabbitohs. Really strong performance from them as a side for their mate Jai Arrow. Just wishing Jai Arrow all the very best during this time on behalf of Momentum. Let's get stuck into the next game, which is the Dolphins and the Roosters. The Dolphins on top in this one. Similar storyline to the previous game. Majority of possession, 86% completions there. Isaiah Katoa was outstanding. He was playing with a little bit of a knee issue. Had to come off a little bit late in the game with a bit of an MCL sort of sprain, or I'm not too sure what the story is there, but he looks good to go. It sounds like he will play. We'll obviously get the team list by the time this podcast comes out, but Isaiah Katoa, very good. Try assist, line break assist, 76 run meters. Very silky with the ball. Most of the tries he was involved in there. Just his tempo, his timing, his kicking game. When he's fully fit and this side has all of their guys back, they're a premiership threat in my opinion. I seriously think that they are a side that can go and win the comp if they really want to. And even the guys that have got backing up, like Tevita Nafa'u there on the wing, 23 runs, 253 run meters, scored a try, had 51 post-contact meters, 3 line breaks, 3 tackle busts, try assists, had no offload, 5 tackles, only the 1 miss there on the wing. He was outstanding, Tevita Nafa'u, really, really good. Every time he comes in, he seems to do a really good job. And when there is that opening, when Jermaine Asako does end up going to the Melbourne Storm next year, there's every chance that he grabs that wing spot, in my opinion. Obviously, a couple of guys to come back for the Dolphins as well, depending on who they re-sign as well, with Jake Averillo being off contract and a couple of other guys to sort of fit into this lineup. What do they do with Trey Fuller as well? Do they try and jam him into this back line? But Tevita Nafa'u, that wing spot at the moment, he has definitely got one eye on that for sure. I really do love the footy that he plays whenever he comes into this side, and it was a really strong game from him with little faults. Only had the one error really in this game. You had Trey Fuller at the back there, who always just goes 100 miles an hour when he's playing, 29 runs for 300 metres. Just a typical Trey Fuller stat there. I will say it will be hard to fit him into this lineup moving forward. He's obviously committed to the side for an extra year now just to see if he can crack his way into the 17. It'll be interesting to see if he is more of that backup guy or if he does make his way into the lineup, and particularly with Jermaine Asako leaving, a lot of talk about Hammer moving into the centres that push Bostock back out to the wing potentially. Maybe there is a spot for Trey Fuller there at fullback, but it's going to be a really interesting one, what they decide to do next year, and it depends on their success this year as well. And, Hammer hasn't been doing anything wrong at fullback, at least over the last 5 weeks since they've been on this winning streak. I think he scored 4 tries in 5 weeks or something, so definitely doing nothing wrong there, Hammer, in that fullback role. Francis Molo, probably one of his best games that I've seen from him for the Dolphins. 26 tackles, 0 missed, 153 run meters in 40 minutes. He was great. Really strong performance from big Frankie Molo there through the middle. Again, you talk about the depth. Felice Kafusi didn't even play last week, and he was obviously the starting front rower in this side. So it speaks to the depth that they've got in this team, just the guys that they've got in this pack. Obviously, you've got the most players, I think, playing Origin or picked in the squads. I think they had 6 or 7 players picked in Origin squads altogether, and they've still got a really strong lineup here. Oren Keeley, who's obviously going to Melbourne next year as well. You've got guys like Lemuelu who still perform. You've got guys like Brad Schneider who just comes in and plugs a hole. Ray Stone, Tommy Gilbert. You've got young Sebastian Sewer who didn't end up playing in this game. But you've got some really good young guys coming through at the Dolphins now. They've built a really good nursery, and their depth is probably the best, or at least in the top 5 in the comp. Look, I seriously think this side is a premiership threat as well, especially with Nick Arima and Jeremy Marshall-King in there as well, who played very well in this game. They are seriously a premiership threat for sure, the Dolphins. Herbie Farnworth was outstanding in this game as well. And then obviously Jack Bostock, he's killing it too. So, Dolphins doing good things for the Roosters. I'm not going to take too much away for this game for the Roosters. They were pretty under strength. They lost, obviously, Sam Walker to Origin. They had no Tedesco, no Victor Radley, no Reece Robson. So that's the majority of their spine gone. So I'm not going to take too much away from this game, other than the fact that there were some pretty good moments. Like Angus Crichton, I thought played well. I thought that Nafa'u White was outstanding through the middle of the field. I thought that Hugo played a very tough game for the time that he was on. Obviously, he got taken off quite early due to concussion. You obviously had as well Reece Foley taken out of the game pretty early too, to a similar sort of thing. Both of those guys getting hit pretty heavy, and they're going to be out for next week, or this week, I should say. Billy Smith, I thought, was pretty good at centre as well. Looked more comfortable in the centres there. Thought he had a pretty solid game. He just gets through his work, Billy Smith. Feketi, I thought, was solid defensively. I thought that Nat Butcher, been talking about him on the podcast for a little while now, but it seems like he's been the unsung hero of this side off the bench. I've really enjoyed his movements. He's really been a guy that, no one really talks about, especially this year for the Roosters, but he always comes off the bench and gives you 100 to 150 run meters, plays some decent minutes there, had 49 minutes in this game, and defensively, you can't fault him too much there either. 39 tackles with only the 1 miss. He's a guy that not a lot of people talk about as someone to bring into the squad for Origin as well. I feel like he's going to be one of those guys that you will see maybe in Game 3, depending on the bye structure for the Roosters, get a spot in that New South Wales squad, or at least come in for a bit of experience, is more so the avenue that I'm going down there. I think he'll be one of those guys like your Couchmans, obviously Ryan Couchman, Cooper Clark, and who I think it wasn't Bostock. Bostock obviously came in late. Who else was there? There was a couple guys that came in for experience. I think that you will see our man Nat Butcher be one of those guys in Game 3, pending if the Roosters have the bye during that period. Do they have the bye there, the Roosters? Round 18? Yes, they do. So I think he'll be one of the guys that comes in. That's pretty much it for this game. Let's get stuck into the next one, which is the Warriors taking on the Sharks. Obviously, the Sharks won 10-8 in this one. Good performance from the Cronulla Sharks. Good performance from the Warriors as well. Like, this was a mongrel game, probably one of the better games of the weekend. Really impressed with the Warriors and just their fight in this one. They obviously really tried hard to climb themselves back into this game, but the thing with the Warriors is they start games really physical and fast to throw teams off, and with Aaron Clark there at 13, a bit of a ball player, but also just runs like a fucking mongrel. Then you've got Fish and you've got Ford. You've got these mongrels in there in the middle, Dimitri when he comes on, who just really try and beat you with that physicality. I feel like the Sharks out-muscled them in that first 15 to 20 minutes, and it really threw them off guard. I think it really rattled them a little bit. And then the Sharks obviously got a couple 6 agains in a row off the back of a little bit of Warriors fatigue through the middle of the field with how physical the Sharks were. And you got to credit the Warriors because it took them 25 minutes for Jesse Ramian to get over. But yeah, just really working them on the defensive line. The Warriors' goal line D for me is very impressive, albeit they leaked that Jesse Ramian try, but that was the only try that they leaked in this entire game, and they were defending for a lot of it. So credit to the Warriors, a really strong defensive performance and really tried to grind their way back into this game. Their attack at stages is really good as well. You've got to give credit, I guess, to the Sharkies and their D in this game as well. Really, really aimed up as well. Again, matching the physicality both in attack and defense. For the Sharkies, Calhoun, he's a guy that I've loved over the last couple of weeks as well. Just what he brings off the bench, starting, particularly in that 13 jersey, just really gives it his all. I think he's a guy you'll see in Origin squads moving forward for sure, like over the next 5 years. I think he'll be a guy that sort of pushes his way into that conversation. He's going to be the next 13 of the Sharkies, in my opinion. Once Cam McInnes leaves, I think he will be leaving at the end of the year, McInnes. So yeah, Calhoun will definitely be that dude. Mulatalo and obviously Katoa coming back into this side, massive coming out of their own and on play twos. Thought that Iro and Ramian, that defensively were outstanding, but in attack as well, super dangerous. What else is there here? Billy Burns was good again on the edge. Burns. McInnes defensively played 71 minutes, 56 tackles. Look, for me, it was just the physicality, and Will Kennedy, that catch as well, insane. He had a strong game coming out of his own end as well. And then for the Warriors, just Tanastau Smith, the young hooker off the bench as well, Makaya Tafua, really strong there defensively, did a really good job coming onto the field and pretty crafty out of the 9 as well. I thought that, as I said, Ford, Tanastau Smith, Aaron Clark, all those guys really tried to start the game strong, but ultimately sort of tried to get back in with their defense and the physicality there, and I thought they did really good jobs. Wade Egan, crafty, Chanel and Tamari Martin looking good. I thought Tamari Martin, one of his better games in a loss. I thought that he looked strong. Look, it was just a real tough game for the Warriors, a real tough game. I think they'll definitely take a lot out of that game as well if they are to play finals this year and potentially go deep into finals, because this is what's going to happen against the better side. You know, they're really going to try and come hard and beat the Warriors out of starting with that fast and physical start, and that's what the Sharkies did in this game. The next game was the Eels and the Raiders. 15-12, the final scoreline in that one. Really enjoyed the Eels' performance here. I thought that they looked a lot better, albeit it was one of the clunkier games. Really enjoyed a couple of the moments here from Parramatta. Volkman looked quite good. Papali'i playing a bit more of that running role. And Isaiah Iongi's been the key for me, particularly coming out of his own end. He is an absolute beast. Just the work that he sort of gets through coming out of his own end on those play 1 and 2 carries. A couple of offloads, 2 try assists, 175 run meters. He's sort of been working towards this performance, Isaiah Iongi, but I thought he did a really strong job there for Parramatta. And as I said, he's been working towards this performance since coming back from injury. Really strong performance from him. Brian Kelly and Addo Carr really strong on their carries as well, coming out of their own end. Started the sets off well for a side that is a bit under strength when it comes to the middles. Thought that they did really well starting off their sets. Reni was strong again. I thought Russell did a good job. Their back 5 were really, really strong in this game. I thought that Jack Williams, 65 of the best, 42 tackles. He's a bit of a beast. Jack Williams always gives 110% effort, but really strong with his defense as well. And those 101 meters were very hard earned, 101 meters too, in this game against Ricky's Raiders, who were quite stiff in the middle, very, very strong. Kaltonga was really, really silky as well. Kelma Tuolangi ran some nice lines. Tuivasa was good off the bench. I think Parramatta, the big thing for me was the fact that they were able to match it a little bit with Canberra through the middle. But the Canberra Raiders were pretty poor in regards to their sets, and just, really adding the icing on the cake at the back of their sets as well. Dane Laurie, a couple of really poor misses just with his cues towards the back end of that game, made a couple of errors. Sanders as well, just still learning in that number 7 role. Kaya Weeks was good. He was just stuck in that left-hand corridor, which I think was the difference. Iongi was roaming both sides of the field and obviously trying to find opportunities on both sides, where Iongi was really set on that left corridor, just trying to target Volkman. If they ventured over to the other side after working that side quite a bit and just throw the Eels off guard, maybe they score a try and get the job done. They left it really late to try and tackle that right side, and when they did go right, Weeks sort of wasn't there. Weeks was sort of really stuck on that left corridor, I thought that Tarpanate and the Hori Horsbra, just really trying their asses off through the middle there, having real big performances, both playing solid minutes. Unfortunately, they just had a bit of an experience through the middle, probably just missing Papali'i and his presence and what he can bring, and then having that extra middle off the bench. Adam Mariota on the edge, good on him there, but I think they missed his injection off the bench in the middle. I'd rather probably start one of these younger guys on the edge and have a guy like, an Adam Mariota coming off the bench. I think that's probably what they missed. Tough performance here for the Canberra Raiders. Unfortunately, weren't able to get it done. And it's the reality of just having a real young 7 in there, unfortunately, where, just still learning, first grade and obviously those tendencies as well. And then the last game of the round, it was the West Tigers taking on the Gold Coast Titans. Really good story here for the Tigers to get the job done at Leichhardt Oval. The last game at Leichhardt before it gets redeveloped prior to obviously when they can get back in there at 2028, I believe. I think they're spending the year next year redeveloping it. So it was the last game at Leichhardt Oval for the Tigers for a little while, and they put on a real show. Jerome Luai, obviously 3 tries in this one, a couple of try involvements as well for him. Really, really strong running the ball as well. It was one of his better games running the footy. Super, super silky, super crafty. A lot of chat has been around Luai and obviously being a team first player. I think that he shut a couple people up in this game. I think he really shut a couple people up, which was good to see. Terrell May, really strong through the middle, 76 minutes, 24 runs, 231 meters, 72 post-contact, 46 tackles. Fanua Pole was strong as well through the middle. Sione Fainu there on the edge. It was probably one of his better games on the edge. Paddy Herbert there on the wing, I thought did really well as well. Obviously a late change there. Taylor May and Stafford Toa, really silky. Bit of chat around Stafford Toa going to the Manly Seagulls. I'd love to see it. I really would. I think that he'd do very, very well at Manly. We'll talk about that in a second as well, because there's a bit of news I want to get through as well. Bunty was good off the bench. Seyfarth was a beast. Played 73 minutes at lock. Did a really, really good job. 54 tackles. Just a real strong performance. They definitely, you could see that they were playing for Leichhardt. They were playing for each other in this game, which was really good to see. for the Titans, I think that they were great. Keano Kini definitely didn't go away. He was really trying to get this win on the board. 32 runs for 334 run meters, 78 kick return meters, and 40 post contact with 4 line breaks, 3 try assists, 5 tackle busts, 5 offloads. He is just an absolute problem, and it's so hard to handle there, Keano Kini. Had a few defensive misses out the back there once the bigger Tigers boys broke the line, but you're not picking Keano Kini for his defense. You're picking him for his attack. He is an attacking beast, Keano Kini at the back there. At fullback, a really, really strong attacker of the footy. You've got Phil Sami as well, who's a gun. You've got young Jensen, Talmapiel. I believe that's how you pronounce that, the young winger there. Real big body, physical, 155 run meters, 5 tackle busts. Probably one of his best games in first grade. Phil Sami, 9 tackle busts, 217 run meters. The back 5 really just didn't go away. They hunted in this game, especially early in the tackle count. Zane Harrison was pretty good in this one as well. Jaden Campbell was really trying to get back into the game with his running game. Young Klesi Haas, who I thought was pretty good in his opening stint. Cooper Bye, Bo Firma, really strong game from Bo Firma, one of his better performances of the season. Just unfortunately, just got done by the Tigers, who were playing with a lot of passion. The completion rate for the Titans hurt them a little bit, especially going up against the Tigers side that completed at 90%. Best game for Jock Madden and Luai as a halves combo as well. And the Tigers do get it done 36-28 in a very close game. But the Titans certainly didn't go away in this one. They hunted. They tried to stay in the game. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get the job done. All right, bit of news to break down here, courtesy of Momentum. Let's get stuck in. So, a bit of chat around Luciano Leilua. Apparently requested a release throughout the week. It was denied. It feels like, look, I love Luciano Leilua. He's a great player, so much potential. And when they get it right, like at the start of this year, he's probably their top 3 players in that whole losing streak. He's probably in their top 3 of players. I think Jaden Sewer's there. I think that the Couchman boys combined are probably number 2. He's probably number 3 in regards to consistency throughout that entire losing streak throughout the year. Obviously, that period can be a bit frustrating as a player. As well. You sort of don't want to be in that. I think he's the victim as well of them having these young back rowers in Dylan Egan and Hamish Stewart, who has obviously moved over to the edge. They've got Hullen Gar, who in the lower grades as well, and they sort of want to bring these guys through. I don't think Luciano Leilua's that old. Let me just have a look. Luciano Leilua. How old is he? He's 30. Yeah, wow. Okay. So I think it is just more so them, going in a bit of a different direction with some of the younger guys in there. Luciano Leilua, as I said, I don't think he's been poor. He got himself in a really good spot at the start of the year. He was fit. He was ready to go. Unfortunately, they do just want to go with the younger guys, and it hurts. And particularly with, the way that Luciano's career has sort of panned out. He's at the Tigers, left there, it was sort of a little bit ugly. It was at the Dragons to start, left to go to the Tigers to be with his brother. Left the Tigers, that split was a little bit ugly. Goes to the Cowboys, that split, from a media sense, seemed to be a little bit ugly as well, requested a release. Goes back to the Dragons, and now this split just seems to be a little bit ugly as well. Again, I got nothing against Luciano Leilua, and, I'm sure that there's more to this story as well. But yeah, just super really, it's unfortunate to see his career pan out in this sort of way, going to a number of different clubs. I think it's probably going to be Super League at this rate. I don't know if he's going to get a deal in the NRL. I would almost love to see him end up in a Storm and just sort of start again, rebuild, get fit, and push his way into that team, especially with Eli Katoa and the uncertainty around his return. If they can get Luciano and get the best out of him there at the Melbourne Storm, and Sean Blaw's already been linked to the Dragons and to the Tigers. If they can get Blaw into that Dragons building as well as a bit of a backup guy, and then obviously Luciano goes to the Melbourne Storm and just builds, I don't mind that. I really don't mind that at all. I think it'd be a really good move for Luciano Leilua, just to sort of hit the reset button, get super fit, get to his best, play some really good games in reserve grade, and really push for his spot back in this team. But, at his age, 30, 30 is not old. He's still got a couple of years left in the NRL for sure. He's definitely got about 4 or 5 years left. But it just seems like at the moment, that opportunity probably won't come from the NRL. I think it's going to be a Super League move for Luciano, which is super unfortunate for him. He's always one of my favourite players when he's playing well in terms of back rowers. So do wish him all the best, and hopefully he can get a good opportunity in the NRL. But if not, it'll probably look to be in the Super League. Rabbitohs has also been rumoured to go to the Manly Seagulls. I don't mind that move as well for Rabbitohs. I think he's a great player, and he's been super unlucky with injury. Rabbitohs throughout his career at Newcastle and obviously at the West Tigers had a couple of really bad injuries that have set him back immensely in regards to keeping his spot in this side. Whenever he seems to play a number of games in a row, he is locked into that starting lineup. He is a starter out and out. It just seems to be when he does have these injuries, he finds it really hard to work his way back into the side. Just with the amount of talent and young talent they've got in that roster. Hamasi coming through. They've got a couple of other young centres, I believe, coming through as well at the Tigers. You've got Taylor May there. Paddy Herbert's in the building now as well, a bit more of an experienced guy. So it is really hard for a guy like Rabbitohs to keep his spot in this team. And unfortunately, it sounds like he probably will have to move on. And Manly's a great fit. Obviously, they've got Ruben Garrick, leaving to go to the Roosters. So there is that spot opening up. I think if they can keep Rabbitohs on the field and really build with him, he's one of the better defensive centres when he's on. So I think that he'll be a really good pickup for them, especially when you've got Tolu Kula, who is that X-factor attacking guy. If you just want a guy that's going to give you a really good attacking base but defend really well on that edge, particularly next to Jason Saab, I think that's a really good pickup. So Rabbitohs to Manly would be a really good move in my opinion. I'm pretty sure that's it. So we're going to leave it there, guys. Make sure if you haven't already subscribed to Momentum, me and Jake Marketo, who's a former Dragons player, we do all of the reviews week to week just like this. Obviously not this week because we did the Origin preview instead, and Jake obviously had to go to dinner, so we wouldn't be able to make that work. But week to week, we do all of the NRL reviews and give out tips for the previews as well. Then Sophie Curtain, a former NRLW player, trying to get back into the NRLW as well. She is doing her NRLW show. Got some good content around that coming very, very soon as well. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.